Matt, I've been wanting to do this for a while, so just give me a second, all right?
Okay.
It's the CustardTV.com podcast, and I've completely forgotten what I say next. Oh, right, okay, yeah, this is the podcast of the website www.thecustardtv.com. And I'm not Luke, the runner and the creator of the website. I'm Gary, the bloke in London, and I'm joined, as always, by the reliable Matt in the North.
Hi, Gary. Reliable as that.
Indeed. It's either me or Luke that tends to not be around.
Yeah, I'm always here. I've got no life.
I was going to put more, but that you're much more dependable and more reliable than us. But yeah, if you want to go with that, then yeah. Go with that.
I'm always around on Thursday night when we tape this.
Yeah, we record on a Thursday night, in case you don't know that, people, and it's kind of a weird night because there's a lot of good telly on later. Luke is let's think of something that he won't cut out of the edit. Luke's not well this week.
There's nothing he won't cut out of the edit.
But we could make something. Luke has been harming...
This probably won't... None of this will make it onto the air. This will just be like 45 minutes of white noise.
Gary and Matt
talking telly
on the Custard TV podcast.
We talk about news, reviews. I go west, which is where I talk about stuff from America. We talk about reviews, and then we preview next week's television. I'm going to hand over to my learned northern colleague, first of all, with the news.
First bit of news, Luke's actually quite happy about this because he used to watch this programme when he lived in the States. That's the Ellen DeGeneres show.
Ellen DeGeneres.
DeGeneres?
DeGeneres, I think.
Okay.
Whether she is a DeGeneres, I don't know, but...
Well, it's a chat show, basically, isn't it? But one of the sort of big ones in America.
Well, yeah, it's not an evening, it's an afternoon chat show in America, isn't it? So it's... Is it fair to say that this is like... I don't know, what is it like? It's not like Jeremy Kyle, it's got celebrities on it, not nobodies.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Lorraine, I suppose. Is that fair?
Lorraine. Oh, I've got one. Paul O'Grady.
That'll be it, yeah, but with less dogs.
So yeah, that's coming to ITV2. I don't know if we've got a time for it yet.
I believe it's going to be the next day, so I believe when they show on...
But like, is it going to be afternoon as well?
I believe so, yeah. It may...
Because ITV2 don't really have a lot on in the afternoons, do they? It's not like...
No.
They barely have anything on in the evenings, let's be honest.
It's 2.5 Men...
Towie.
Well, Towie's on ITV-B now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you're right there. It's Dinner Dates. No, Dinner Dates on ITV-B as well. What's on ITV2 now? Keith Lemon.
Keith Lemon, yeah, he's still on there. I'll live look up what's on ITV2.
Scorpion.
You've Been Framed.
It's all repeats.
Yeah, 2.5 Men.
It's all repeats, basically, Gary.
Celebrity Juice, and yeah, not a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, okay. And maybe they might even reshow it in the evenings, I don't know.
And the other one is a return. I'm not sure if you were a fan of this the first time round. Robot Wars.
I wasn't a mad fan. I wasn't like, I didn't go out and get a Kill-A-Lot doll or something like that.
Matilda.
Yeah, but no, I'm aware of it. The good thing is that this obviously any time sort of any show like this sort of gets renewed, there's been a lot of nostalgia. There's some sort of petition for Jonathan Pierce to do the commentary like he used to do. Craig Charles to be the presenter like he used to do, so...
Philippa Forrester.
Well, I'm always happy when Philippa Forrester comes back.
It's got a certain charm because it's of its time, that sort of time where, we didn't rely on technology that much and it was still sort of something of the future now, almost like our technology now has overtaken what the robots can do. At the time, sort of, was it 95, 96 it was on?
Yeah, that's right.
The only sort of big technology we had was like Doom 2 and Carter on the PC.
Carter. Remember that? God.
Yeah.
Google before it was Google.
So I wonder if all the robots are going to be controlled by smartphones
or by watches.
Yeah. So. See, I don't know. It's nice to have something back, but I don't know how you could make it for this sort of tech-savvy audience who sort of didn't watch it the first time round.
I mean, the main thing was obviously it was like you kind of got those three generations or groups of people, didn't you? You got Granddad, Dad, and young son all got together and built a robot, and the son pilots it, but the granddad is the one that really made it or something, And it was quite good.
I remember that episode of Phoenix Nights where they did a Robot Wars.
Really?
I don't know if you ever saw
And
that.
I think that
No, you're not
I'm worried that this might be something we remember more fondly than actually when it comes back, but we'll have to see.
Gary, why don't you go west then?
I shall. Daredevil, which was on Netflix last year's second series, is going to start on the 18th of March. Like last year, you'll probably get however many episodes in one go for you to watch. They won't do week by week. One that I liked last year was Madam Secretary. I know Luke's about to take the mick out of the fact that it's called Madam Secretary. Huh?
Ooh, Madam.
Ooh, Madam Secretary. Season 2 of that will be coming back to Sky Living on the 27th of January. 5 Star have this week announced that they'll be picking up Heroes Reborn and the Shannara Chronicles. Now, Heroes Reborn is the reboot of Heroes that's recently been shown in the States, and the Shannara Chronicles is an MTV drama. The only other MTV drama I'm aware of is Teen Wolf, and that's not particularly great. But the later news is that already it appears that Heroes Reborn has been cancelled by it.
I read that.
They're not saying cancelled, they're saying they won't be extending the miniseries, which is cancelled in everyone else's eyes.
Yeah.
And this, coupled with the news, the fact that the first episode of the reboot of The X-Files has not been particularly well received, makes me wonder whether there's a bit of a backlash about this. We know that there's also Prison Break due to come back later this year. And obviously Twin Peaks next year as well. Are we worried?
The sort of comebacks,
yeah,
I suppose.
are we worried that there's not enough new ideas and that rehashings are just not going to cut it?
Well, I think it's the new shows that get a lot of critical acclaim, isn't it? I can't think of any returns that have met with any sort of, as you say, X-Files hasn't been well received. Heroes Reborn, as far as I know, wasn't well received.
I wonder whether the reviving of old television shows, what do you think it means? Do you think it means that there are not enough good ideas?
Yeah,
or is
that's
it
what it does.
cheaper?
It's not that they're cheaper, but they've got an inbuilt audience. I think that's the thing. You've got this brand identity already. You've got an inbuilt audience, whereas, you're having to get awareness of other programs. This is why there's so many sort of superhero programs as well, like Supergirl and The Flash and Arrow and things like that, because it's an inbuilt brand. Whereas something like, I'm just looking at what you're talking about later on. I mean, Gotham has got an inbuilt brand, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Something like Madam Secretary, maybe, or Scandal, or Empire, things like that. The Good Wife.
Yeah,
you have to sort of build from the ground up. And that's why you need at least a star name to hook people in. You need something to hook people in. So if you've got this audience of people who loved Heroes, X-Files, Prison Break the first time round, then they will instantly at least watch the first episode, and then might not stick with it, but that is that nostalgia built into it.
That seems to be the case. Well, some lighter news, some other stuff that's been picked up. So Bosch and Lucifer are going to get screen dates on Amazon. Bosch, which is a second series based on the books by Michael Connelly, that will be on your screens March 11th. And fans of Lucifer, which is from a comic book, where the devil comes to the earth and he's almost a kind of good guy. So go figure that. You can get all of that from the 26th of Jan. And the last one, now there's been a lot of people tweeting and messaging about this. A lot of people trying to make you feel like there's going to be a Friends reunion. Well, there is and there isn't. If you actually read the story, which I have done, it's not a reunion of Friends. It's the stars of Friends.
The actors, yeah. No, I read
coming
this.
back for a 2-hour special for one of the directors of the shows.
It's almost like a comic relief or something. It seems
very similar,
like
yeah. It'd be like if they did an Office where, everyone would be like, oh, Ricky Gervais has come back with The Office, and it turns out to be a comic relief.
Yeah, Ricky Gervais and... they're just part of a larger ensemble of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not just these 6, it's other people who are...
It's not a 2-hour Friends special.
Yeah.
But
what I'm saying is, it's not just these 6 actors throughout the 2-hour special, it's other people as well, isn't it?
He has been involved in, they've worked out over 1,000, almost 1,000 television shows. So you're going to get, an awful lot of, in that 2 hours. But there you are. So if anyone tells you there's going to be a Friends reunion, you can say, aha, I felt differently on the...
Just like that.
Just like that, yeah, indeed. But the best thing that was on TV American-wise for me last week was the return of the second series of Gotham. This is based on the predecessors to Batman, And this whole series is called Rise of the Villains. And if you watched last series like I did on Netflix, you will have plotted very carefully the Joker, Catwoman, Penguin, all the classic Batman villains were all kind of, coming out of the shadows. And in this series, we've been promised that more will come, and things like Mr. Freeze and people like that.
Not Arnie playing Mr. Freeze.
No, thank goodness. Did you ever? I went to the cinema and saw that.
No, I saw Batman Forever at the cinema. Was not that Batman and Robin?
Was Batman Forever Clooney?
No, that was Val Kilmer as Batman, Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. No, Clooney was Arnie.
Was Arnie with Batman? Yeah. And Batgirl and all that.
Alicia Silverstone.
Yeah. Yes, Gotham's very good. It's very dark. It's very gritty. It's much more like the recent comic books of Batman. It, again, is a very good use of 45 minutes. It presents some sort of risk or character, and things get tied up in 45 minutes, but each of the bigger storylines, the villains, get progressed a little bit. I think American television does this far better, where maybe because they have to have 24 episodes or things like that, but they push forward the bigger storyline a little bit each week. It's on Monday nights, which means it's up against an awful lot of stuff around. So hopefully maybe Channel 5 will stick with it. And of course it will come with the obligatory break at some point, I assume.
I mean, this is why I think it's a good idea to start these US shows later. More Forward does it with The Good Wife. They start it in, say, it'll probably be starting up soon, February time, and it'll just run straight through because they have that winter break.
That's right, yeah, so they won't have that if they do that. One quick note about The Good Wife. It was announced this week that the show's creators will be leaving the show, but yet CBS have confirmed they won't be cancelling it. A couple of people saying that this will be the sort of, the jump the shark moment. I don't know. You're more up to date than I am. I'm still somewhere around series 2 or 3.
I mean, I've watched a few episodes of this new series that's yet to debut on More For. I think it's good, but it's almost sort of gone a bit too comic now. But we'll have to see. I mean, because they've lost Archie Panjabi.
Yes.
To Shetland.
Yeah, that's going to end up being a bit weird, isn't it?
Go west.
That is, the West has now been conquered. I will now come back east and hand over to
come back east, Gary.
It's my favourite moment of the show. Matt, it's time for the reviews.
Hello.
Hey!
We'll continue sort of west, but not really. Jericho, which is, by all intents and purposes, a western, but set in Yorkshire in the 1870s. This is by, I think his name's Stephen Thompson, or Steve Thompson, who's previously written for Sherlock and Doctor Who. It stars Jessica Raine as a widowed mother of two who journeys somewhere for a better life for her children, and that place is a sort of shanty town called Jericho, where a train station, like a railway line, is being built, and it basically focuses on her and several other characters involved in the creation of the railway line. There's this sort of stranger, quite a well-to-do chap played by Hans Matheson, who's sort of like her love interest. Seems to take his top off quite a lot. I don't know if you noticed that. Lester Freeman from The Wire as well, propping up in this.
Yeah, and a very strange accent.
As someone who'd worked on the railways in America and had come over, and he was slightly suspicious. And during the course of this was almost like a feature length. It was a 90-minute show. And at the end, you had several deaths. You had Mark Addy coming in towards the end as this sort of lawman who's like, he'd been hired by the people who run the railway and say basically, I need to investigate who did this murder. Gary, now you watched this because you weren't originally going to watch it, but I suggested you did watch it. What did you think?
You suggested it, and actually I managed to listen to. I was listening to Radio 4 in my office one morning. Very cultured, and there was actually an interview with the show's creator, Stephen Thompson. So I'm actually aware that.
Right, just Steve Thompson.
Whatever.
Steve
Thompson and Jessica Raine was being interviewed, and they talked about this. I watched an hour, so I didn't get to the bit about the murder that possibly would have maybe made me more interested in it. I just thought this was very well made. When you said that this guy had done Sherlock and Doctor Who, I wasn't surprised, in the sense that he started the story very well. He started it at a point where you had no doubt of what's going on. She was being evicted from her house with her kids.